The stars had always been silent. For centuries, humanity sent radio signals into the darkness, hopping for an answer. They received only emptiness. Some people thought they were alone in the universe. Others believed someone was out there just not talking back. Both groups were wrong. The Empire had been watching Earth for 30 years. They studied human broadcasts, analyzed their primitive technology, and waited. When humans finally sent their first manned mission to Mars, they decided it was time. The humans were spreading beyond their world. That made them a potential problem. Better to control them now while they were still weak. Commander Az stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominant Will. He was a veteran of 40 conquests. His scales carried the deep green color of high rank. Behind him, 300 warships waited in formation, more than enough firepower to crush this backward species. "How long until we reach Earth?" Az asked. "2 of their hours, Commander," his navigation officer replied. Az nodded. This would be quick. Humans had no shield technology. Their ships ran on chemical fuel. Their weapons were crude missiles and laser arrays meant for mining asteroids. The Galactic Coalition had strict rules about conquering primitive species, but they had found a loophole. If the primitives fired first, it became self-defense. They always fired first. On Earth, alarms screamed across every military base. Captain ran onto the bridge of the KSSF Indomitable. The ship was humanity's best defense vessel, cobbled together from 3 different spacecraft designs. It had started life as a mining hauler. Engineers had bolted weapons to every available surface. It looked ugly, but it could fight. "Report," shouted. Lieutenant looked up from her console, her face pale. 300 contacts, Captain. They just appeared at the edge of lunar orbit. No warning, no communication. Felt his stomach drop. 300. Earth had 40 ships that could fight. Most were converted civilian vessels. They had trained for this day, but no one truly believed it would come. "Get me the defense fleet." All channels ordered. Around Earth, ships powered up. The Resilience, the Last Stand, the Defiant Hope. Civilians scrambled to escape stations. Parents held their children tight. Everyone knew what was happening. The day humanity had feared had arrived. A message appeared on every screen. The broadcast reached every device on Earth and in orbit. Commander Az's face filled the displays. He spoke in perfect English, though his voice carried a hissing quality. "Humans of Earth, I am Commander Az of the Empire. You are hereby ordered to surrender your world to Galactic Coalition authority. You will disarm all weapons. You will provide tribute. You will obey. Compliance will be rewarded. Resistance will be punished." To demonstrate his point, Az gave a simple command. One of his ships fired. A beam of purple energy lanced across space. It struck Luna Station 3, a research outpost on the moon. 300 people lived there, scientists, engineers, families. The station vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone, vaporized by technology humans couldn't hope to match. Across Earth, people screamed, they cried, they prayed. World leaders held emergency meetings. Military commanders calculated impossible odds. Everyone understood the truth. Earth could not win this fight, but had never planned to win. He opened a channel. It broadcast to every ship, every human vessel, and back to Earth itself. When he spoke, his voice was calm, almost conversational. "Commander Az, I am captain of the Earth Defense Force. You just made a terrible mistake." On the Dominant Will, Az's officers laughed. The human spoke with such confidence, such foolishness. One officer, a young warrior named, shook his head in amusement. "Commander, shall I destroy another station? Perhaps they need a stronger demonstration." Az raised a clawed hand. "No, I want to hear what this brave little creature has to say. It will be amusing." Continued, "You destroyed a civilian station. You killed 300 people. You think this frightens us. You think we will surrender." He paused. "You don't understand humans at all. Then educate me, as replied, still amused. Every nation on Earth has been preparing for this moment since we first looked up at the stars, said. We knew someone was out there. We knew they might not be friendly, so we prepared. Not to win, to survive. As his amusement faded slightly, there was something in the human's tone, something dangerous. You have 40 ships, as said. We have 300. Your weapons are primitive. Your shields don't exist. What exactly do you think you can do? Smiled, though no one could see it. Everything you don't expect. He closed the channel and turned to his crew. Execute Protocol Omega. His hands trembled as she entered the commands. Captain, are you certain? Once we start, there's no going back. I'm certain, replied. Helm, plot a ramming course, target the flagship. The bridge went silent. Then Engineer Park spoke up from his station. Course plotted, Captain. All ships are confirming they're ready. Across Earth's defense fleet, similar scenes played out. Captains gave orders that no sane military would consider. Crews armed weapons that weren't meant to be armed. Ships that should retreat accelerated forward. As watched his sensors with growing confusion. What are they doing? They're accelerating toward us, Commander, his tactical officer reported. All of them, maximum thrust. They're attempting to ram us, as couldn't believe it. That's suicide, shields up, prepare to destroy them. The first human ship, the Last Prayer, reached the formation. It was a cargo hauler modified with nuclear engines. Its captain had ejected the crew in escape pods. The ship struck a cruiser at 17,000 kilometers per hour. Both vessels exploded. The nuclear reactor detonated, vaporizing 2 more ships in the blast. As stared in horror, they're using their ships as missiles. More human vessels crashed into the formation. Some were shot down, others made it through. Each impact cost them dearly. These humans weren't fighting to win a battle. They were fighting to kill as many enemies as possible before they died. The Indomitable raced toward the dominant will. Point defense weapons tore into its hull. Sections of the ship exploded. Crew compartments vented into space, but kept accelerating. Park worked frantically, rerouting power from failing systems. We're losing structural integrity. Keep us together for 30 more seconds, ordered. As watched the human ship approach, his shields could stop it, probably, but the human captain wasn't trying to survive the impact. At the last moment gave one final order. All hands abandon ship, arm the reactor. The crew evacuated in escape pods, set the reactor to overload and ran for the last pod. The Indomitable struck the dominant will's shields and detonated. The explosion was massive. Shields held, but barely. 3 nearby ships weren't as lucky. In the escape pod watched his ship die. Around him, Earth's fleet had been destroyed, but they had taken 67 vessels with them. A fifth of the invasion force gone in minutes. As looked at the carnage, his ships, his warriors gone, destroyed by primitives who fought like. They're insane, whispered. No, as said slowly. They're terrifying, send a message to the Empire. We need reinforcements, many reinforcements. He looked at the blue planet below. The humans had lost every ship, but somehow, as felt like he was the one who had been defeated. He had expected surrender. He had expected fear. He never expected this. The fleet regrouped in high orbit above Earth. Commander as stood in his rebuilt command center, staring at damage reports. 67 ships lost, thousands of warriors dead, against an enemy that should have been crushed in hours. 3 days had passed since the first battle. Reinforcements arrived from space. The fleet now numbered 400 ships, surely enough to finish this primitive species. But as felt uneasy, the humans had shown they would die before surrendering. That made them unpredictable, dangerous. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the human military, his communications officer announced. Put it through as ordered. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She wore a military uniform marked with symbols as didn't recognize. Her expression was calm, professional. Lieutenant had survived the first battle in an escape pod. Now she served as tactical officer aboard the rebuilt Human Defense Command. Commander Az said, "This is your final warning. Leave our system. Return to your space. We will allow you to depart in peace." Several officers laughed, stepped forward. "You allow us, you have no ships, no defenses, your fleet is destroyed." His expression didn't change. "You're right, our space fleet is gone, but the war has just begun." She closed the transmission. As felt that unease grow stronger. What does she mean? His tactical officer checked his sensors. "Commander, we're detecting multiple launches from Earth's surface. Missiles, thousands of them." "Shoot them down," as ordered. "They can't have anything that can penetrate our shields." The missiles rose from Earth like a swarm of angry insects. Point defense systems engaged, destroying hundreds, but there were too many. Some got through. They didn't carry conventional warheads. When they struck ships, they released clouds of small objects, debris, garbage, rocks, ball bearings. The shields, designed to stop energy weapons and large projectiles, let the small objects through. At orbital velocity, even a paint chip became deadly. The small debris tore into hulls. It shredded sensor arrays. It punctured fuel lines. Ships began venting atmosphere. Warning klaxons blared across the fleet. "They're using kinetic weapons," an officer shouted. "Primitive kinetic weapons." As watched another ship take damage. The humans were fighting with technology his people had abandoned thousands of years ago, and it was working. "Pull back to high orbit," he commanded, "out of range of surface launches." The fleet retreated, as glared at the planet below. This was supposed to be simple: conquer the primitives, add another world to the empire, return home as a hero. Instead, he was retreating from chemical missiles. On Earth, deep in a military bunker, stood beside Captain. He had survived his ship's destruction and now commanded Earth's remaining forces from the ground. "They have pulled back to high orbit," reported, "out of missile range." "Good," said, "that gives time to work." Commander stood in a different bunker, this one on Mars. The red planet had small human colonies, mostly mining operations. When they invaded, they had landed troops to secure the colonies. It seemed like an easy victory. Humans on Mars had no military, no weapons, no chance. The never-expected guerrilla warfare. Watched through night vision goggles as a patrol moved through a Mars colony tunnel. The aliens wore advanced armor. They carried weapons that could melt steel. They moved with confidence. They walked right into the trap. The tunnel exploded, not from high-tech explosives, from mining charges, simple chemical explosives humans used for digging. The blast collapsed the tunnel, burying the patrol under tons of Martian rock. Team 2 confirmed the kill, spoke into his radio. "Confirmed, Commander. Patrol eliminated." Smiled grimly. They were learning that superior technology meant nothing if you couldn't see your enemy. His teams had spent years training for this. They knew every tunnel, every cave, every hiding spot on Mars. Back on Earth, Engineer Park worked in a secret laboratory. Spread before him were pieces of technology, salvaged from destroyed ships. He examined a shield generator, trying to understand how it worked. "It's beautiful," he muttered. "The energy efficiency is incredible." A colleague, Engineer Bora, looked up from her workstation. "Can we copy it?" "Copy it? No, we don't have the materials. We don't have the manufacturing capability," smiled. "But we can break it." He began analyzing the shield's frequency patterns. Every shield had weaknesses, resonance points. If they could match those frequencies, even primitive weapons might get through. "How long do you need?" Bora asked. "Give me 3 days," said, "maybe 4. "You have 2, a voice said from the doorway. Dr. Song entered the lab. She was Earth's chief liaison with the though liaison was a generous term for someone who mostly hurled defiance at aliens. She carried a tablet filled with reports. "They are preparing for a final assault," explained. "They're done playing cautious. They're going to bombard every military installation, every major city until we surrender." "Then we need to make them reconsider," said. How Bora asked. Picked up a small device he had been building. "We show them that humans can be merciful, or we can be something much worse." 3 hours later, broadcast a message to the fleet. It reached every ship, every commander, even the received it. "Commander As, this is Dr. Song speaking for the people of Earth. You came to our world with violence. You destroyed civilian stations. You killed families. You thought we would fear you." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We don't fear you, we pity you. You've forgotten how to fight real wars. Your empire has grown soft, conquering worlds through intimidation. We are not intimidated." On his bridge, As listened. Other commanders across the fleet tuned in. This human female spoke with such confidence, such arrogance. Continued. "We have captured 12 of your soldiers on Mars. According to galactic law, we should treat them as prisoners of war. Give them food, shelter, medical care." Her expression hardened. "But you don't follow galactic law. You slaughter civilians, so we decided to respond in kind." A new image appeared. Prisoners bound and kneeling. Human soldiers stood behind them with weapons. As felt cold rage. They wouldn't dare. The humans fired. The prisoners fell. The image cut out. Across the fleet, soldiers roared in anger. Officers demanded revenge. Slammed his fist on a console. "We must destroy them, all of them." But As watched his screen carefully, something was wrong. He replayed the footage, studied it. Then he understood. "It's a fake," he said quietly. What turned to him? "The video, it's fabricated. Look at the shadows. Look at the blood patterns. They're using digital effects." As felt a strange mixture of relief and respect. "They're trying to provoke us into making a mistake." The broadcast resumed. His face reappeared. "That was a demonstration," she said calmly. "The prisoners are unharmed. We have them in secure facilities receiving medical treatment, because unlike you, we follow the rules of war." She leaned closer to the camera. "But we wanted you to see how easily we could become monsters, how easily we could match your brutality. We choose not to, we choose mercy." Her eyes hardened. "The question is, what will you choose?" As sat in silence. This human had just shown him something terrifying. She had demonstrated that humans understood psychological warfare at a level his people had forgotten. They could fake evidence, manipulate emotions, fight with information as easily as weapons. "Commander, what are your orders?" asked. As looked at his fleet, 400 ships, enough firepower to destroy a planet. But these humans kept finding ways to hurt them, kept adapting, kept surprising them. "Send a message to the High Command," As said. "Tell them we need authorization for total planetary bombardment. And until we receive authorization." As studied the blue planet below. Somewhere down there, humans were planning their next surprise. He needed time to think, to understand these creatures. "We wait," he said, "and we watch." On Mars, Commander received word of Doctor's broadcast. He smiled. The fake execution had bought them time. Time for to crack the shield technology. Time for Earth to prepare. "What's our next move?" one of his soldiers asked. Looked at the Martian landscape. "We keep hitting them. We keep making them afraid. We show them that every day they stay, they lose more soldiers." "Can we actually win?" the soldier asked. Considered the question. "Win? Probably not, but we can make them wish they never came, and sometimes that's enough." The Galactic Coalition Council chamber floated in the void between stars. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the massive structure. They came in all forms. Some breathed oxygen. Others lived in methane atmospheres. Some existed as pure energy. They had one thing in common. They were all afraid. Ambassador X of the Harmony Collective stood at the speaking platform. Her form clicked nervously as she addressed the assembly. The situation with Earth grows worse. The Empire requests military support. They claim human resistance violates 17 galactic conventions on warfare. A being of pure light representing the assembly pulsed with agitation. The humans fight without honor. They use deception. They sacrifice their own people as weapons. They fight to survive, a different voice countered. Heads turned. Ambassador of the Confederacy, an old species known for wisdom, floated forward. His species resembled jellyfish but possessed intelligence beyond most races. For 10,000 years we have enforced civilized warfare, said. We have rules, protocols. We fight until one side surrenders, then we negotiate terms. This system has prevented countless extinctions. Exactly, X agreed. The humans refuse to follow these rules. Because they never learned them, his voice rose. We forget that our civilized warfare developed over. These humans are isolated, alone. They created their own rules based on survival at any cost. The assembly representative pulsed red with anger. Then they must be taught. Or destroyed, X added quietly. On Earth, Bay sat in a dark room surrounded by computer screens. As head of human intelligence, she had one job: intercept alien communications, learn their secrets, understand the enemy. She had just decoded something that made her blood run cold. "Get me Captain," she said into her comm unit. "Emergency priority." 10 minutes later entered her office. He looked exhausted. Everyone did. The war had been going on for 6 weeks. Earth was running out of supplies, ammunition, hope. "What did you find?" asked. Pulled up a file on her main screen. "I cracked the command encryption. I've been monitoring their communications with the Galactic Coalition. And we're fighting this war completely wrong." She looked at him with haunted eyes. "The galaxy doesn't do total war. They haven't fought like this in 10,000 years." Sat down slowly. "Explain." Every species in the coalition developed faster-than-light travel only after achieving peaceful global unity, said. They grew beyond tribal warfare before they reached the stars. War, for them, is a diplomatic tool, a game with rules. When one side surrenders, everyone negotiates. And we're not playing by their rules, finished. We don't even know their rules exist, pulled up more data. Look at this. In the last 1,000 years, the coalition has fought 47 wars. Not one ended in complete destruction. Not one species was wiped out. The average war lasts 3 weeks before negotiated surrender. Felt the weight of understanding crush him. We've been at war for 6 weeks, 3 times longer than their average. It gets worse, said. They didn't come here to exterminate us. They came to make us a tributary state. They expected us to surrender after they destroyed Luna Station. That was supposed to be enough. 300 people dead was supposed to make us give up, felt anger rising. For every other species in galactic history, yes, leaned forward. We're scaring them, the whole galaxy. They're debating whether to help to destroy us completely, not because we're strong, because we're unpredictable. Stood and paced the room. So what do we do? Surrender? No, but we need to change strategy. We need to show them we can be reasoned with, that we're not mindless killers. On Mars, Commander led his guerrilla teams through another encampment. They had been raiding constantly for weeks. The aliens had learned to fear the Martian night. Every shadow could hide a human. Every tunnel could be a trap. Tonight's mission was different. "Remember," whispered to his team, "no lethal force unless absolutely necessary. We capture, we don't kill." His second-in-command lieutenant looked confused. "Sir, why the change in orders?" "Because someone smarter than me said so," replied. "Now move out." They struck fast. Stun weapons instead of rifles. Nerve agents that paralyzed instead of killed. Within minutes, they had captured a supply depot and taken 15 prisoners. But instead of destroying the depot, left supplies behind: food, medical equipment, a note in language that read, "We can be merciful, can you?" 3,000 kilometers away, Engineer Park made a breakthrough. He stood in his laboratory, holding a small device that hummed with power. "I can't believe it worked," he said. Dr. Song examined the device. "This can actually penetrate their shields. It transmits on the exact frequency that disrupts their shield harmonics," explained. "It won't destroy the shields completely, but it will weaken them enough that our conventional weapons can get through." "How many can we build?" Did quick calculations. "With our current resources, maybe 100 units, enough to equip a small strike force." "Then we build them fast," said, "because I have an idea, a crazy, possibly suicidal idea." "Those seem to be our specialty," replied with a tired smile. In space, Commander has received the authorization he requested. The Galactic Council had debated for weeks. Finally, they made their decision. He read the message 3 times, unable to believe it. "They're authorizing total bombardment?" asked, reading over his shoulder. "No," as said slowly, "they're authorizing negotiations." "What?" As displayed the message for his bridge crew. "The Council has decided that humans, while barbaric, show signs of intelligence and capability. They're offering Earth a choice: surrender and join the coalition as a probationary member, or face complete destruction." "They're giving the humans a choice," was incredulous, "after everything they've done." "The Council fears what will happen if we exterminate a species this resourceful," as explained. "They think it would set a dangerous precedent, start wars with other isolated species who might react the same way." An officer spoke up. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, from Dr. Song." "Put it through," as ordered. His face appeared on screen. She looked tired but determined. "Commander, as I understand your government has authorized you to offer terms." As was surprised. "How did you know that? The message was sent 30 seconds ago on encrypted channels." Smiled slightly. "We're better at signals intelligence than you think. I'm willing to discuss terms, but not like this, not over a comm channel." "Then how?" "Face to face. You come to Earth, or I come to your flagship. We talk as equals, not conquerors and conquered." As considered, meeting the human in person was risky, but it might be the only way to end this without further bloodshed. His fleet had lost over 100 ships now. The humans had fought them to a standstill with technology centuries behind capabilities. "I will come to Earth," he decided, "but I bring a security detail." "Agreed, land at these coordinates." Transmitted location data. "Come alone with your detail, no fleet support, no orbital bombardment waiting to trigger." "You ask me to trust you." "We're both trusting each other," replied. "Isn't that how peace starts?" 24 hours later, a shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. As sat inside, surrounded by his best warriors. They landed in a desert area, far from cities. Apparently, the humans didn't trust him near civilians. Smart, he thought. A human delegation waited. Dr. Song stood at the front, flanked by armed guards. Behind her, as recognized several faces from intelligence reports. Captain, Lieutenant, Commander, the humans who had caused his fleet so much trouble. As exited his shuttle, for a moment both groups stared at each other. The tall and reptilian, armored and armed. The humans, small and soft, but with eyes that burned with determination. Stepped forward, she carried no weapon. She extended her hand, palm open, a human gesture of peace. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Az. Thank you for coming." Az looked at the offered hand. In his culture, touching another being showed trust, vulnerability. He could kill this human with a single strike. But she knew that, and she offered her hand anyway. He reached out and grasped it carefully. Her skin was warm, fragile, yet her grip was firm. "Thank you for receiving me, Dr. Song. Shall we begin?" They walked together toward a tent set up for negotiations. Behind them, warriors from both sides watched nervously, hands on weapons. Somewhere in the sky above, 400 warships waited. On the ground below, millions of humans held their breath. The war wasn't over, but for the first time peace seemed possible. No one had expected that either. The negotiations lasted 3 days, then everything fell apart. Commander as sat across from Dr. Song in the tent. Between them lay documents, data pads, translation software. Around them the desert wind howled. It seemed appropriate. This meeting felt like standing in a storm. "Your terms are unacceptable," as said firmly. "Earth must disarm. You must limit your space vessels to civilian purposes only. You must accept Galactic Coalition oversight." "In other words, you want us helpless," replied. Her voice stayed calm, but her eyes blazed with anger. "You want to make sure we can never defend ourselves again. You cannot be trusted with military power. You fight without honor, without restraint." "We fight to survive," stood up. "You came to our world uninvited, you killed our people, and now you demand we trust you to protect us." Captain, standing nearby, stepped forward. "Commander, let me ask you something. In your empire's history, has any species ever attacked you after surrendering?" As paused, "No, the rules of surrender are sacred." "Then you live in a civilized galaxy," said. "We don't. We only know Earth. And on Earth, history teaches us that the defeated are enslaved, destroyed, forgotten." He locked eyes with Az. "We won't let that happen to humanity." "Then we have nothing more to discuss," Az said. He stood and walked toward the tent exit. "My grand fleet will arrive in 5 days, 300 additional warships. When they come, we will reduce your military installations to ash. Then you will surrender, or you will die." His voice stopped him at the door. "If you do that, Commander, you won't leave this system alive." Az turned. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm stating a fact." Walked to a display screen and activated it. "Let me show you something we've been working on." The screen showed footage of a test. A small device, no larger than a briefcase, being loaded into a missile. The missile launching. It striking a mock-up of a shield generator, the shield flickering and failing. "We've cracked your shield technology," he said. "Not perfectly, but enough to hurt you badly." Az felt cold fear. "Impossible. Our shields are the most advanced in the galaxy." "Were corrected. Engineer Park figured it out in 6 weeks. 6 weeks, Commander. How long did it take your people to develop that technology?" "Centuries." She pulled up more data. "We've built 100 shield breaker devices. We've installed them in missiles that can launch from Earth's surface. When your grand fleet arrives, we'll fire everything we have. Your shields will fail. Our nuclear weapons will get through." "You'll still lose," Az said. 600 ships against 1 planet. The mathematics are clear." "Oh, we'll lose," agreed, stepping beside. "But so will you. Because we're not trying to win anymore, Commander. We're trying to make you pay such a terrible price that the Galactic Coalition questions whether conquering primitive species is worth the cost." Continued. "And if you manage to destroy us, we have a final gift prepared." She pulled up new footage. This showed a massive installation hidden in the Arctic, complex machinery, scientists working frantically. "What is that?" Az demanded. "Antimatter production facility," said. "We've been building it in secret for 20 years, just in case. We can't make much antimatter, not yet, but we can make enough." "Enough for what?" "To weaponize our sun," said quietly. "If Earth falls, we detonate antimatter devices across the solar surface. The reaction will trigger a massive solar flare. It will sterilize everything in this system. Your fleet, your troops, everything." Az stared at them. "You're bluffing. You wouldn't destroy your own world." "Wouldn't we?" Pulled up her sleeve, showing burned scars on her arm. These are from testing the antimatter triggers. 3 scientists died in those tests. We've already sacrificed people for this weapon, Commander. What makes you think we won't use it? The tent fell silent. Outside, guards from both sides waited nervously. They could feel the tension, even if they couldn't hear the words. Finally, as spoke, "You're insane, all of you." "No," said, "we're desperate, there's a difference." As returned to his shuttle, his warriors could see the distress on his face, approached him carefully. "Commander, what happened?" "They're going to destroy us," as said. "They're going to destroy everyone." He sent an emergency transmission to the High Command. Within hours, the entire Galactic Coalition was in emergency session. The humans had threatened to weaponize their star. The galaxy had never seen such madness. Ambassador X of the Harmony Collective addressed the Council. The humans must be stopped before they carry out this threat. "Can we stop them?" the Assembly representative asked. "If we attack, they detonate their star. We lose 600 ships, an entire invasion force." Of the Confederacy spoke up. "Perhaps we should ask why they're so desperate. What have we done to drive them to this?" "We did nothing," X insisted. "They simply claim them as tributaries, as is their right under." "Under laws the humans never agreed to," interrupted. "Under rules they never learned. We arrived at their world as conquerors and wondered why they fought like cornered animals." The debate raged for hours. Some species wanted to destroy Earth immediately, before humans could spread their dangerous ideas. Others argued for quarantine. A few, like, suggested negotiating as equals. On Earth, the truth was darker than anyone knew. In a secret bunker, Bay sat with, and they stared at a display showing the antimatter facility. "How long until they figure out it's fake?" asked. "Maybe never," said. "The exterior is real enough. The science is sound. We just don't have the actual capability to produce antimatter in useful quantities." "What about the sun weapon?" asked. "Complete fiction," admitted. "We can't weaponize the sun. The physics doesn't work, but as doesn't know that, neither does the Galactic Coalition." "So we're bluffing," said, "betting everything on a lie." "Not entirely," said. "The shield breakers are real. We really can hurt their fleet, just not enough to stop them completely." Stood and walked to a window. Outside, the night sky sparkled with stars. Somewhere up there, 600 alien warships prepared for war. "What if they call our bluff?" he asked quietly. "Then we do what humans do best," said. "We improvise." In orbit, aboard the flagship, as made a decision. He couldn't authorize the attack on Earth without absolute certainty. The risk was too great. He needed to know if the human sun weapon was real. He ordered, "Take a stealth team to Earth's Arctic region. Find this antimatter facility. Confirm if it's real. And if it is real, then we need to destroy it before the Grand Fleet arrives." The mission launched that night. 12 commandos, the Empire's best warriors, descended to Earth in stealth pods. They carried equipment to detect antimatter, to destroy installations, to kill anyone who got in their way. But humans had prepared for this too. Commander waited in the Arctic snow. His teams had been tracking the stealth pods since they entered the atmosphere. Primitive radar couldn't detect them, but Earth's new systems, built with stolen alien technology, could. "They're landing 2 kilometers north," Lieutenant reported. 12 contacts. "Let them reach the facility," ordered. "I want them to see it with their own eyes." The commandos moved through the snow. Their thermal camouflage made them nearly invisible. Their weapons could kill from a kilometer away. They were the best the Empire had. They reached the facility and began scanning. Their equipment detected faint antimatter signatures, energy readings consistent with particle acceleration. Everything matched the human claims. What they didn't know was that had seeded the area with false readings. Tiny devices that mimicked antimatter signatures, fake energy sources, an elaborate deception. The leader, an elite warrior named Vax, sent a coded message to Az. The facility is real. I repeat, the sun weapon is real. On the flagship, Az received the message and felt his world crumble. The humans weren't bluffing. They really would destroy their own system rather than surrender. He opened a channel to the Galactic Council. This is Commander Az. I am recommending immediate withdrawal from the Sol system. The humans possess a weapon of unacceptable risk. Ambassador X responded immediately. Commander, you cannot abandon this conquest, the Empire's honor. Damn our honor, Az roared. I won't sacrifice 600 ships for a primitive world. I won't lose 10,000 warriors because we're too proud to admit we made a mistake. The council erupted in argument. Some agreed with Az, others accused him of cowardice. The assembly called for his removal from command. Then a new voice entered the discussion, calm, measured, ancient. Enough, of the Confederacy said. I invoke Emergency Protocol 7. I am freezing all military operations in the Sol system pending council review. Silence fell. Protocol 7 hadn't been used in 2,000 years. It gave the council emergency authority to stop wars that threatened galactic stability. Both fleets will stand down immediately, ordered. The humans will not launch their sun weapon, they will not attack Earth, and we will negotiate as equals. In the Arctic, received word of the ceasefire. He let the commandos return to their ship unmolested. No point killing them now. The war, for the moment, was over. In space, Az ordered his fleet to withdraw to lunar orbit. Not a retreat, a pause, a chance to breathe. On Earth collapsed in her chair, exhausted. We actually did it, we stopped them. For now, said, but they'll figure out the sun weapon is fake eventually. Then we have to make sure, eventually, comes after we've negotiated real peace, said. They had bought humanity time. How much time, no one knew, but it was more than they had yesterday. And sometimes that was enough. 5 years passed. The Galactic Council granted Earth protected development status. It was an unprecedented decision. Humans gained limited access to galactic technology and trade routes. In exchange, they agreed to restrictions on military expansion and regular council inspections. The Empire faced severe sanctions. They paid reparations to Earth. Their expansion privileges were suspended for 50 years. Commander Az was demoted but not dishonored. The Council recognized he had prevented a catastrophe. But the galaxy had changed. The humans had changed it. Bay stood in the Galactic Council chambers, now wearing the formal robes of Earth's ambassador. She was the first human to address the full assembly. 200 species watched her with expressions ranging from curiosity to distrust. Members of the council began. 5 years ago you came to Earth expecting primitives. You found warriors, you expected surrender, you found defiance. She paused, letting her words settle. You thought we were barbaric because we fought without your rules, but we had our own rules. Survive, protect our families, never surrender our freedom. Looked around the chamber. You call that uncivilized, we call it necessary. Ambassador X of the Harmony Collective spoke up. Ambassador, humanity's methods disturbed the entire galaxy. You used deception, suicide tactics, threats of mutual destruction. Yes, agreed simply. We did, because from our perspective you were invaders who killed civilians without warning. We responded with the only weapons we had: determination, creativity, willingness to die for our world. And that makes you dangerous, X said. It makes us survivors, corrected. There's a difference. Of the Confederacy drifted forward. His ancient voice carried weight. The Council debates whether humanity's admission was wise. Some fear you will corrupt our civilized approach to warfare. Others believe you have lessons to teach. I am in the latter group. Why? The Assembly representative asked. Because the galaxy has grown complacent, said. We have forgotten that peace exists only because we maintain the strength to defend it. The humans remember. They live it. On Earth, the changes were everywhere. Human cities now featured alien architecture. Galactic technology merged with human innovation. But Earth remained Earth. Humanity hadn't been conquered. They had negotiated their way in. Commander walked through a training facility. But these weren't human soldiers. They were young warriors sent to Earth as part of the peace terms. They were learning human tactics. One, a soldier named, approached after a training session. "Commander, I have a question." Ask, said. "Why do you teach us your tactics? We were your enemies. We tried to conquer your world." Smiled slightly. "Because the peace treaty requires it, but also because teaching you makes us both stronger. If you understand how humans think, you won't underestimate us again. And if we understand how you think, we won't underestimate you." "Mutual respect through understanding," said thoughtfully. "Exactly. Also, you might need human tactics someday. The galaxy is bigger than just our conflict." Didn't understand, not yet. In another part of the galaxy, Engineer Park worked with alien scientists. They had invited him to share human innovation methods. The invitation had surprised everyone, including, "Your people accept failure in ways we find disturbing," one scientist, a crystalline being named L, said. "You intentionally design experiments to fail." "We call it iterative testing," explained. "We try something, it fails, we learn why, we try again differently. Failure isn't shameful, it's educational." "But it wastes resources," L objected. "Does it?" Pulled up his work. "I cracked your shield technology in 6 weeks using trial and error. How long did it take your people to develop it originally?" 300 years, L admitted. "Exactly. Sometimes the messy, chaotic approach works faster," grinned. "Plus, explosions teach you what not to do very effectively." Elsewhere, Lieutenant commanded the first joint human-alien warship. The Unity was a strange vessel. Human weapons systems grafted onto hull design. A crew mixing 5 different species. It shouldn't work. Somehow it did. Her tactical officer was a named, the same who had served under as during the invasion. He had requested assignment to a human ship, to understand them better. Commander said, "Long-range sensors detect an anomaly, unknown vessel. It's not transmitting any coalition identification." "Battle stations," ordered, "but don't fire unless fired upon, could be a lost ship." The unknown vessel grew larger on their screens. It was massive, organic-looking, and it was heading toward a populated system. "It's not responding to hails," reported. "Wait, I'm detecting weapons powering up. They're targeting the colony." "Shields up, return fire," commanded. The battle was brief and brutal. The unknown ship had weapons that tore through shields like paper. The Unity barely survived, but they drove the intruder away. "What was that?" asked. "Unknown," said, "but it fought unlike anything in Council records. No communication, no demands, just attack." Sent an emergency report to the Council. Similar attacks were happening across the galaxy. Unknown ships, unknown species. They didn't negotiate, didn't surrender. They just killed everything they encountered. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Ambassador X looked shaken. "We're receiving reports from 17 sectors, unknown hostile vessels. They're attacking without warning, without provocation." "Do we know what they want?" someone asked. "We don't even know what they are," said. "But their attack pattern is concerning. They target populated worlds. They don't seem interested in conquest, only destruction." The Assembly representative pulsed with fear. "How do we fight an enemy that won't communicate?" "We don't know," X admitted. "Our forces are trained for civilized warfare, negotiated conflicts. This is different." Ambassador stood. "I know who can help." Every eye turned to her. "Contact Earth," said. "We know how to fight wars like this." The council erupted in debate. Some objected. Humans were barely members. They couldn't be trusted with a galactic crisis. But's voice cut through the argument. She's right, we need them, whether we like it or not. On Earth, Dr. Song received the emergency communication. The Galactic Council was requesting help, humanity's help, to fight an enemy that wouldn't negotiate. She gathered the War Council, via hologram, the people who had saved Earth 5 years ago. They're finally asking for our help, said. Opinions. We help them, said immediately. Not because they deserve it, but because if the galaxy falls, we fall with it. Agreed, added. Besides, we owe the nothing, but we owe species like everything. He fought for our admission to the Council. Pulled up data on the unknown attackers. These ships use technology we've never seen, organic-based, adaptive. They learn from each engagement. So they're smart, said. Very, but look at their pattern. They attack hard, but they retreat when facing overwhelming force. They're probing, testing defenses. Preparation for a larger invasion, said grimly. Classic strategy. Send scouts, learn the enemy's capabilities, then send the real force. Hologram nodded. The Council is terrified. They've never faced an enemy like this. They don't know how to fight without rules. Then we teach them, said. We share everything we learned fighting, though, every tactic, every strategy. Some will resist, warned. They'll say we're corrupting galactic civilization. Let them, said. Civilization doesn't matter if you're dead. 3 months later, human advisors spread across the galaxy. They taught alien commanders about guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, total war concepts. Some species adapted quickly. Others struggled with the brutality of human tactics. But they learned. When the main invasion force arrived, the galaxy was ready. Not perfectly, not completely, but ready. The enemy called themselves the Void Swarm. They came from beyond the galactic rim. Billions of ships, organic technology that adapted faster than anything the Council had seen. They consumed entire worlds, stripping them of resources and moving on. They expected the Galactic Council to collapse, to fracture into individual species fleeing for survival. They never expected unity. And they never expected the humans. The Battle of Sector would be remembered for 200 Council ships, including 50 human vessels, faced a Void Swarm fleet of 1,000. The mathematics said the Council would lose. Captain, now commanding the flagship Defiant, gave the order that changed everything. All ships, execute Protocol Chaos. Human vessels charged forward, shields blazing. But this time, they weren't alone. Cruisers followed them. Harmony collective fighters moved in formation with human bombers. The assembly provided cover fire. The Void Swarm expected individual targets, easy prey. They faced a coordinated assault combining human aggression with alien technology. Shields protected human kamikaze runs. Human tactics guided alien precision strikes. The galaxy fought as one. The swarm retreated. For the first time since the invasion began, they retreated. On the Defiant watched them flee. Beside him, his tactical officer spoke quietly. We won. This battle, corrected, the war is just beginning. But we won this battle together, human and the species that tried to destroy each other, fighting side by side. Smiled, they never expected that either. Across the galaxy the message spread. The Void Swarm could be beaten, not easily, not without cost, but it was possible. And humanity, the species that had entered the galactic stage as primitives, had shown the way. Years later, Ambassador would write in her memoirs, they came to Earth expecting to find savages. They found survivors. They expected us to fear the dark. We had been living in it our whole existence. They expected us to break. We taught them that sometimes the pressure creates diamonds. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once. They would never make that mistake again. And somewhere in the void between stars, the swarm regrouped and planned. But now they knew. This galaxy wasn't like the others they had consumed. This galaxy had learned to fight back. This galaxy had humans. And humans never forgot how to survive.